Hello, survivors. The world is dead. Long live the new world. When chaos reigns and the survivors sort things out in endless battles, we all need a place to calm down and take a breath. Well, you've found this place. Here in the garage, you can learn a lot about the wastes, straight from the devs. And don't forget that we now also have Crossout Show here. The best designers and drivers can compete for prizes. Get in, watch, take part. Make yourselves comfy, fellas. It's go time. The duo of impressive classics and scientific elegance. Welcome to the Proving Ground. We love looking at your ideas, so don't be shy to share them at the exhibition. Also, don't forget to check the forum, where we have contests with great prizes for designers. Zenturi White. This tank is classic in every sense of the word. A very familiar build, armored and reinforced caterpillars, weaponry of 2 tsunamis. Under the white cover, there are some anticipated improvements: increased ammo, a powerful Mark II engine, and a gas generator. The tank is based on the humpback cabin. Crossout gives you plenty of room for experiments, and we had some very unusual crafts in this section. But let's be honest, sometimes you just want a well-tried craft of specific category, be it a light buggy, hotshot fireball, or a thick-wall leviathan. Zenturi is a very good hardline tank. It looks majestic, hits hard and right, and is well protected, and of course it moves painfully slowly. Over 3,000 points of structure and 10,143 points of power. You'd have to stand against some pretty serious rivals. If you're looking for a powerful, albeit not very fast craft, there's no point in looking further. This craft proves itself in escort and light transport, capable of compensating the sluggishness of the tank. Of course, not everyone has a couple of tsunamis in stock, but they can be changed for more acceptable guns. You can try trendy quasars, for example. Crafts with these are very popular right now. This piece of advice is especially relevant since a simultaneous salvo of 2 guns provides significant recoil. Pros: a good, robust tank, excellent power and structure parameters, efficient, easy to replace weaponry. Cons: sluggishness, significant recoil. 3 out of 5. Now, before we go on, wait a bit. Exhale. Take some shawarmas. Awesome. Let's continue. Wasteland Hornet. This craft is a pleasant surprise due to its form factor. It looks like a spaceship from a decent science fiction movie. The weight is distributed in such a way that 6 hovers are enough for flying. You can lose 1 on the right and 1 on the left. The ride is well armored and can clear up the road of hapless riders with its nose. As for more sound weaponry, it has 2 impulse grenade launchers. A questionable choice in terms of accuracy, but a good one when it comes to knockdown ability. A heavy generator helps the craft to break even on energy. All of its 10 points are used up. The craft pleasantly proves itself in driving right off the bat. The build moves easily and gently. You'll get used to it very quickly, and it's the best complement for a hovercraft. Guns-related doubts are justified. You want something more accurate on the flying heavy ride, and far-ranging too. You need to get to the enemy within a stone's throw. Luckily, the craft is capable of locking horns in a close-range battle. But what you gonna do if your rival accepts the challenge? Still, one might have thought through the weaponry a bit better. we suggest installing something of the Dawn Children Armory and then decide for yourself whether or not it suits you. If all else fails, you can just get back to the original. However, the constructive idea itself is good. It's visually remarkable and quite in the spirit of scientists' faction. Pros: spectacular design, good weight distribution, responsive driving. Cons: weaponry needs refinement. 4 out of 5. Survivors. Just before this episode, Crossout has changed. The changes turned out to be smooth. You won't notice them immediately, but their impact is huge. Patch 0.8.20 is dedicated to rebalance. Many parts have been rethought. As a result, we're planning to see some new round of creativity from our designers. Today in weaponry, we're gonna look at the most important updates. The parameters of the cabins have been changed with a focus on encouraging your experiments. Crafts based on light cabins will deal lots of damage, but lose the ability to use additional armor. Heavy crafts, even though inferior in terms of firepower, will yet be able to get several times more points of structure compared to other rides. Engines have always been in close conjunction with cabins. Now, when you install an engine, it doesn't replace the built-in one, but rather increases power and speed parameters with set point limits. Earlier, some engines set penalties on certain cabin types. With this patch, they will give bonuses encouraging experiments with various crafts. Now, what's the basis of any ride? Frames, of course. Our engineers noticed that survivors have been abusing these parts, building crafts mostly out of them. Such crafts match the rest in structure, but we were much harder to destroy. Well, no more of that. From now on, frames no longer increase structure points a ride, and their role no longer overlaps with other parts. Accordingly, we had to update the structure parameters for light frames. It's worth noting that in light of these updates, some already existing drafts need rework given the new parameters. Factionary transport schemes have also been partially changed. There are several more equally important changes. Yeah, we heard you. The firing distance of Sidekick is decreased by a quarter, while the operating radius of the drone is decreased by 60%. Here's one more accomplished request. You can now send any ride from the exhibition for the test drive regardless of the mechanic's faction level. It's a bombshell, right? By the way, we also reworked the explosion system. While before the patch, the damage was dealt primarily by frags, and quite unpredictably. Now, after the update, the cratering system is applied. This means that the maximum damage is dealt in the epicenter of the explosion, and then it dies out with the distance from the center. There are still many more small updates. Some elements of several game modes have also been changed. Seasons are now available from the 5th level of Mechanics Faction. We've traditionally improved the interface and some maps. You can learn more about the updates from the video on this channel or on our website. You can find the link in the description. Another important detail of the patch is the global map. You already know something from the previous episode, but we've got some new details regarding the alignment of forces in the region. The Crossout takes place in the valley. Located on the sidelines of habitable territories for many years, it's been closed for humans. Even a brief visit promised an imminent death. The nearby city, called Mortuary or Necropolis, has been stricken with the same mess that ruined northern megapolises alongside all refugees. Unlike the cities, it was still possible to stay alive in the valley if you didn't get too close to the settlements and watched the environment. After the defeat, mechanics lost their home and were forced to anchor on this territory. They were accompanied by reckless raiders who didn't care about their own lives. But the long-term sufferings paid off. Mechanics managed to thoroughly examine the deadly anomaly and were the first ones to notice the purification of the valley. It became suitable for life just a few years ago, when the prison turned into a new paradise. They were already there. While other factions were coming to the valley, mechanics had already explored the intact lands nearby Necropolis, founding several settlements. Word travels fast around the wastes. That's why rival factions are already heading for the new cradle of mankind. The land, crippled after the catastrophe, is just starting to gradually balance back, and the rich soil of the valley serves as a magnet for the survivors of all kinds. They say there's a mystery of some kind, something only a few know of, that is capable of changing the development vector for the whole of humanity. And this is why a new war is inescapable. Lunatics have abandoned their gladiatorial games and now are crossing the high cliffs of the Great Kaganet to make it to the Feast of Life. Overcoming the dangers, Brotherhood members, represented by scavengers and steppenwolves, are gathering here from the far eastern lands. Even Dawn children, for many years blinded by their own experiments, came out of the shadows and left the south wastes. Seems like the biggest mystery of the valley and its grand reward are truly worth it. Why else would all of them be gathering here? We've dealt with everything of high priority. Now, let's look at the field post. Are you going to add a module of enhanced self-destruction to get even with the last enemies? Explosive modules such as barrels, generators, and ammo boxes also detonate and deal additional damage when destroyed. This is why we think that the effect works as it should for the time being. Up me, please. There, buddy. All in good time. Will we be able to look at other players' garages? I've seen your garage, and it's good. But actually, not really. This option doesn't look like a necessary one, and it'll take a lot of time and effort. Apart from that, the garage is a very private place for any survivor. Well, that's it for today, survivors. Looking forward to seeing you in a week to spill yet more facts about the Wastes battles. Don't waste your time. Gain experience and toughen up in fights. Also, subscribe. And do me a favor, will you? Tell your friends about this show. Leave comments below. It's important for us to know your opinions.